Over the last several years, China has become increasingly aggressive in asserting illegal maritime claims, which leads to the South China Sea conflict. In response, United States Navy regularly conducts freedom of navigation operations, sailing Navy's destroyers within 12 nautical miles of China's artificial islands to repudiate Beijing's claims to sovereign territorial waters. So far, China has been sensible enough not to challenge any of these operations. But a destroyer is a fragile fish. In June last year, Burke Class Destroyer USS Fitzgerald was put out of action by a collision with a container ship, with the loss of 7 lives on the destroyer. Then in August, Burke Class Destroyer USS John S. McCain was nearly sunk by an oil tanker. 10 sailors lost their lives. The tanker suffered no injuries. Leaving aside the issue of poor seamanship, these two collisions illustrated a potentially more serious shortcoming of today's naval ships: poor survivability. Navy's ships used to threaten oil tankers, not the other way around. Since the end of World War II, U.S. naval planning has revolved around the aircraft carrier. But world wars are few and far between, and other missions abound. When it comes to countering the rise of China, some of the most frequent missions are freedom of navigation operations requiring no fighting at all. United States Navy certainly needs the firepower provided by its awesome carrier strike groups and its flimsy, but nonetheless formidable, Navy's guided missile destroyer. But it also needs ships that can take a punch and keep on sailing. That kind of toughness is likely to become an even more important quality as China develops its precision strike capacities. Soon it may become too dangerous to sail an unarmored ship in the South China Sea. Stealth is one way to keep from getting hit, and the US leads the way in the development of stealthy destroyers. But stealth defeats the purpose of a freedom of navigation operations, which is to be seen. An old-fashioned battleship is a ship to be seen, and in a big way. But there's no need for the Navy to build an old-fashioned battleship in the 21st century when it can build a new-fashioned battleship instead. A contemporary warship would combine advanced armor materials with automated damage control to produce a ship that is virtually unsinkable. Its offensive armaments might be mission-specific, but its key attribute would be survivability. It would be a ship that could be put in harm's way in the reasonable expectation of coming home in one piece. This warship of the future could solve the challenge posed by China's emerging anti-access, area denial, A2/AD, strategy for excluding the United States from the Western Pacific. China is rapidly expanding and improving its networks of onshore, offshore, undersea, and space-based sensors to the extent that it will soon be able to see everything that moves between the Chinese mainland and the first island chain formed by Japan, Okinawa, Taiwan, and the Philippines. And improvements in precision weaponry will increasingly mean that China will be able to hit anything it can see. America's response has been a shifting set of tactical plans successively labeled as Air-Sea Battle, JAM-GC and Third Offset. What these plans all have in common is the idea that the best defense is a good offense. Instead of defending against Chinese A2/AD attacks, they propose that the United States strike first to take out the command and control networks that tie China's sensors to its precision munitions. The problem is that this implies the immediate escalation of any A2/AD scenario into a full-scale war. That's where the warship of the future comes in. It would give the US a defensive option for limited conflict. For example, a future could respond to Chinese provocation by disabling Chinese seabed sensors or cutting Chinese undersea cables. It could survive being rammed by enemy ships, a favorite tactic of the Chinese and North Koreans. And if A2/AD did escalate into a shooting war, it could operate in the danger zone while US offensive actions turned the tables. United States Navy will never again be a dreadnought fleet of big gun battleships. But it is time to re-examine the role of armor in naval architecture. Even the most forward-leaning offensive operation needs a few tough linesmen who can take a beating and stay in the game. A future warship would give the Navy and by extension the President, warfighting options other than the total annihilation of the enemy. Regular freedom of navigation operations already demonstrate the need for such options. The 82/AD threat will likely generate even more dangerous missions that only a durable warship of the future can safely perform. And for more of the best military content, go check out these videos right now.